What's going on, guys? Alric Phoenix here, and I'm doing something different today in that I wanted to do something that's done a lot in the game industry, and since Modern Warfare 3 is coming to a close, the season of content has ended, and everything's been delivered, they've finished all their patches, so now's a good time to go over the last year and see what was done right, what was done wrong, what had to change. Now, a lot of people will want to say that yes, everything was horrible about the game, nothing was ever fixed, but that's not accurate. The point of this is to actually look at things with an objective eye. So let's jump right in and look at where we start. First things first, the guns. Obviously, it is very clear that when the game first came out, there was a lot of balance issues. Some were balance issues, but there were also quite a few bugs with guns. One of the bugs was obviously shotguns and the extended mags glitch, where all pellets had damage increase plus threw out more pellets, which made every shotgun hit like a one hit kill to anyone even in the vicinity. That was patched relatively quickly. And then there was the Type 95, where it acted like a shotgun and could kill anything at any range. However, as of right now, after all the hot fixes and patches and everything, by default, if you look at every base gun stats, their recoil patterns, and the numbers, the damage, the drop off, everything, and I'm just gonna talk. This applies to assault rifles, SMGs, sniper rifles, light machine guns. They are all, as of right now, equally balanced. That doesn't mean that there aren't overuse guns. The ACR, the MP7, obviously people use them like nobody's business. There are things that could have been done to balance those further, but to be positive and to look at it objectively, right now the guns are balanced. So that's a positive thing about everything, particularly about the guns. A negative thing that was introduced that removed a significant portion of the balancing that was done was the weapon proficiencies. First of all, the proficiencies themselves, they were not technically balanced. I'm not sure if I have seen anybody ever actually use the breath proficiency, mostly because, especially with an assault rifle, you can use it for the first shot, but then, kick recoil and visual recoil and everything kicks in, which makes breath immediately useless. So, in itself, those proficiencies introduced a lack of balance. It could have balanced the weapons a lot better had they not introduced that at all. For example, the overuse of the ACR. Perhaps, unlike the other weapons that maybe have more of the focus proficiency automatically built in, it had less, so that way when you were shot while shooting it, obviously your kick went much higher than normal. There are guns that obviously were underused, but that's like that everywhere. There were very few guns that I would say that were completely useless. There are a couple in the secondary slot, though. Obviously, half of the handguns probably didn't need to exist, simply due to their stats. In terms of the machine pistols, now that was a set of unbalanced things. One way that could have been done better to balance it in a much more useful way is partially because of the range of these things. If they had reduced the range on all the machine pistols and stuck with just changing the spread of the bullets. I'm blanking for a second there. Just dealt with bullet spread as well as damage. That would have been sufficient to balance it if they all had at least just the same range. But whereas right now, almost no one uses the Scorpions compared to Akimbo FMG9s or just the MP9 with silencer, which has a range to rival most of the SMGs. No one touches the G18s except the rare person who's using it as a joke, because it doesn't really make sense to use it at all. But machine pistols aside, after all the patching, the gun balance has come out pretty good. I'd say it's extremely positive. Now, gun balance is one of the best things about this game at this point right now. To go over map design, people really only like about 4 maps in the game. I personally enjoy a few of the ones that were in the DLC. Obviously I do enjoy Overwatch. I actually wish I played Liberation more because I do enjoy the very wide open maps for certain game types. But for the most part, it seems that the wide open maps, they were built with the intention of giving people more space to get bearing and to kind of get more into their groove, but it also slowed down the action a lot, which when you're in a game that's supposed to be about really killing the enemy really quickly, it slowed it down to a really uncomfortable level that people just didn't enjoy. So it's why no one ever votes for Liberation, and no one votes for Outpost, because it's so large that it takes forever to get into action. Overall, support has been good. People have been kicking and screaming at Infinity Ward, and they've taken it and continue to release patches, continue to fix bugs, continue to release content. I feel that they have done a decent job. You know, they even felt early on that because of some of the bugs that were introduced right when the game came out, that, you know, it looked badly on them, and they realized that. They knew it. They even said as much. But at the end of it all, they said, okay, let's give people more content. You know, they realized that there were some issues with the game that they put out, and they said, let's, you know, I know everyone's not going to be happy about what's been done, but let's push out more stuff. So, you know, when it comes to Infinity Ward supporting the fixes and trying to do weapon balance and hot fixes, I mean, they released a hot fix of the weapons in July. You know, 8 months later, they really didn't have to do that. That was purely for people to have more fun with some of the older weapons that didn't really get touched, like the M16, which prior to that was completely underused. So Infinity Ward gets a passing grade on this. They've put in the effort, they put in the time. Death streaks, though. You know, from a design perspective, and I mentioned this in a commentary, it really does make sense to have something like a death streak, to make sure that new users who are completely brand new to the game have a chance to just get in, play a little bit, you know, oh whoops, they've died a couple times, and they get, you know, in Modern Warfare 2 it'd be Painkiller, where, okay, they got extra health for a minute. But the inclusion of Martyrdom, and then Dead Man's Hand, and Final Stand, all 3 of these, is a step in kind of the wrong direction, simply because it does, from a design perspective, it punishes people that are good at the game, and doesn't empower people who are bad at the game to get better. There are other ways to empower them. One of the ones that they did take a positive step in Modern Warfare 3 was the spawn protection from kill streaks. I know people don't like that. You know, that's what I'm saying is not popular, because people want to be able to do what was done in Modern Warfare 2, where you have a Harrier right over the spawn point that just destroys the entire team. You have no chance of doing anything, but hey, it's your own fault, you're not good. But that's not a good way of looking at new users, because unfortunately everyone else that's been playing Call of Duty for 7 years, of course you're going to be calling that shit right over the spawn point. So some stuff was in the right direction, spawn protection, some stuff negative, Dead Man's Hand, Martyrdom. The strike packages. Assault strike packages were, for the most part, almost every single assault killstreak was extremely balanced. The exceptions would be the AC-130 and the Pavlo, in that the Pavlo should have been harder to take down, and the AC-130 should have been easier to take down. And you know what? Actually, when I looked at the stats, there was discussion over the Osprey gunner, but in that you can take it down with only 3 missiles. But that's a debatable issue, simply because you kill people so quickly with that, unless they're in spawn protection. The support strike package, the argument there is that it helps people focus almost entirely on the objective. Totally a good thing. But as definitely most people will agree, the stealth bomber and the remote control sentry should not have existed. Kill streaks existed in the support strike package. They shouldn't. And though everyone really likes it, from the balance perspective purely, the specialist strike package should not have existed. That destroyed balance beyond comparison. That does not mean it was not fun. I love specialist, but it destroyed the balance of the game between a new user, someone who's just getting into the Call of Duty series, and someone who's been playing Call of Duty for 7 years now. But overall, there were positive steps that were taken. There were a couple that were taken backwards to try to remedy some of the mistakes from past games. It does look like a lot of what's been addressed here has been properly remedied for Black Ops 2. It's why everyone's looking forward to it so much. So that is, I guess, the post-mortem. It does seem, when you look at everything, the map design, they didn't do great with a lot of maps, but with some they did. They've been very good about adding new playlists and new game modes. The weapon balance has taken a long time, but they have got it. And overall, it was an average game, but not as terrible as everyone would like. I'm not talking about the spawn system simply because I don't know enough about the coding of it and some of the reasons behind it. I have sent some emails to people to try to understand it better, but I never quite got the information I needed to make an informed decision on that one. So yeah, so that's been the post-mortem of Modern Warfare 3. Let me know if you agree or disagree, and I am looking for hopefully factual-based arguments. Alright, this is Elric Phoenix. Peace out, YouTube.